Welcome to the New Earth. This is a presentation about a new housing system. It's a needs-based housing system, so it's all based on the use of the property, and it is a system that'll do away with owning nothing and being happy, because this is a system about shared equity. So let us begin. The Guardian Right. The Guardian Right property share, advantages for society, investors, property owners and guardians. So let's explore the benefits for all stakeholders involved. In these slides we'll introduce the Guardian Right, the advantages for society, the benefits for investors, property owners, guardians, a case study and a conclusion. The introduction to the Guardian Right property share at thehousingexchange.com.au. So let's look at the definition concept of a Guardian Right property share. A Guardian Right is an equitable interest in a property, allowing co-ownership to build equity while reducing living costs using established flexible occupancy agreements. So all that means is we are splitting the land from the chattels, and we put conditions over that and how it can be returned to one. So a dual housing position. The system provides an affordable housing solution for guardians, helping them save on living expenses and providing landholders with a way to reduce debt, and an opportunity for investors to profit through falling prices, because this system is one that reduces. So it goes against the trend, and the whole concept of this system is to reduce the cost of housing until it's free for everybody. So we will look at mitigating risks. If we mitigate property risk by utilising the guardians, property owners can mitigate risks associated with repairs and maintenance, and cover the cost of building new houses and rebuilding houses which are left to the elements after severe weather events. Now, all that's sort of trying to explain is that when we have dual ownership of a property, one will own the land, one will own the fixtures, we get to use two lots of people's wealth to bring this system together and to help everybody at the same time. So the people that would normally rent can now own, but the property actually reduces in costs. So the value of it when you sell is less than when you bought, but it's way cheaper than renting a property. So it's a really arse-about way of looking at something, but it works very well. The historical background and development of the guardianship housing system. Well, I suppose I've been in the business of housing for probably 45 years. We've owned quite a lot of properties on our own. We've done them up, we've rented them out, we've done all sorts of different things. We've tried vendor terms and all sorts of different ways, and we've looked at how the rental system works, all the rules and how they keep changing, and we were able to come up with something that mitigates all that. It sort of pushes it out and makes it simple for everybody to understand, and makes it very easy, a very easily workable system for everybody in all sorts of different fields, like retirement homes or land sharing or any of those other different ways that we use property. The Guardian Right sort of steps in and makes everything much simpler, much easier, much simpler and much more cost effective. So the elephant in the room. This model has emerged as a creative solution to tackle the urgent issues of underutilised spaces, housing prices and housing shortages. To do this, we have had to create a management innovation tool. So we created the Guardian Right and the Guardian Right Registry, where these rights are registered, because under the current system, the Titles Office, you do not have anything to do with the fixtures on there. That's noted as the CIV on a rates notice, but it's actually not recorded on the title of a property. So, what else have we got here? How the system works. So, mutual arrangements. The system thrives on arrangements where landholders and guardians collaborate effectively for mutual benefit. Property maintenance. Guardians play a crucial role maintaining and occupying the property because they are responsible for that property. That's what they own. So they are going to ensure the upkeep and longevity of it. The benefits of the system. Well, the arrangement fosters a mutually beneficial financial relationship, providing security for property owners through call options and longer term affordable housing for guardians. So that sort of tells us that we've got a system here where you buy a guardian right, so you're not renting a property anymore. You buy the guardian right, you've now got an equitable share in the property. The property is a depreciating asset, which reduces at 10% per annum, so the property goes down. You can look at it as that could have been the value of rent, but it's lessened. And the benefit for the landowner is that he was able to sell you that property, you look after it, you've paid him the money so he can reduce his debt, and he's happier, you're happier, because the value of the property will probably still go up in the old system unless that changes, and everyone's a winner. So what's the advantages for society? Well, we get increased property availability. So increasing costs and vacancy rate turnover is not good for renters or property owners, leading to increased community resentment and loss of economic activity. So when prices go up, if you look in local towns, you've got all these vacant shops, you've also got a lot of vacant houses, because as the price goes up, after a while people can't afford to, or they'll live in them for 6 months but they can't afford to keep going, so they have to move out and find somewhere cheaper. It's just a trend that's been ongoing for 100 years, I think. I'm pretty sure this started in Sydney when they were still building the Sydney Harbour Bridge. So it's never really changed. The whole problem with the system is actually we live in a debt-based system, and it's going to always drive up the cost of everything, so that's just how it works. Another benefit for society is community revitalisation. Utilising a guardian right fosters a sense of community, attracting new long-term residents which replenish and fill up schools, helping to restore local businesses and trade, because there's a lot more people now living for the long term, because most of these guardian rights go in 10-year blocks. So once you've bought one, you're there for give or take 10 years, but you don't have to be, you can sell at any time. But every 10 years the landholder can actually buy the right back if they choose to. So with that, it says there's a reduction of blight, and that says that transforming vacant and underutilised properties reduces urban blight and improves the overall appearance and safety of neighbourhoods. Enhancing community safety and security. So how does a guardian right do that? Well, instead of short-term transient renters, which are said to be the instigators of vandalism and crime, the poor people of society, guardians are property owners, and they're less likely to promote this, and they're more likely to promote neighbourhood safety, because when you start to feel like you actually own something, everything changes. You don't have to go out and hate the community anymore, or hate the rules, or hate the government. It all gets to change. So what we end up with is pride of guardians, and when you've got pride, you change how everything works in society. Guardians can increase the security in neighbourhoods, and they're likely to reduce family violence and child abuse at home, and that'll lead to also a reduction of schoolyard bullying, because the kids will be living in an area for a lot longer, and they won't have to keep changing schools and getting threatened by the kids that have been there a long time. So this fosters, of course, community spirit and helps overall, So utilising the guardian right effectively. So to transform lives, shared equity can provide affordable opportunities for every person to be an owner instead of a renter. So that goes against the United Nations and gives us a bit of a leg up to work towards something where we're all going to be beneficially happy about it. Now, community engagement. The shift between renting and owning utilises an inner space, and we get an inner peace, encouraging community growth, uniting people and fostering connections. So the shared equity approach promotes innovative uses of property, opening the door to benefit by having two financially viable shareholders working on one particular property. And that's quite important, isn't it? So what's the benefits for investors? Because it sounds like if your property's going to go down in value, why would you invest in it? Well, it's an interesting concept, because you're actually not going to invest in bricks and mortar anymore. You're going to invest in a guardian right, which is a personal asset, not a bricks and mortar asset. And there's an interesting part of how that's better than you would have thought, because you've got two markets running simultaneously, and you've got the way you would set up your investment over a 10-year period. You've got risk management or risk assessment when you start, because you know what the market rent's going to be, so you can set your repayments below that, and you bring it down. You use a reducing straight line loan rather than these amortised loans that you don't know where the interest has gone. And as the loan reduces and as the debt reduces, you are playing that off against market rent increases. So you're always going to be protected as it goes down, unless, of course, society changes and gives everyone a free house. So, maximising property value, reduction returns. So, active property valuation. A guardian right is a depreciating asset losing 10% per annum calculated monthly, providing investors with a repayment ceiling to protect the investment. Guardian right agreements use call options that provide a date and a value when the equity share can be repatriated. So that's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You buy it for 300,000, you sell it for 120 or something, years later. You usually lose about 60% depending on what the value is. So you're buying and selling. So you buy high, you buy at the value, and then you buy again later on. The value, this ensures there's a market value over time, and it's fixed to help everybody, and that protects landholders, guardians, investors and society. So minimising management and maintenance costs. Well, cost reductions. Guardians are responsible for the management and maintenance costs of the property, including water rates. Now, this transfer of responsibility aligns with the landholders' need to step away from the rental regulations and the repairs and maintenance, which enhances profitability for the landholder as well as the guardian, because the guardian gets a cheaper value and he's got to look after it now. So there's no whinging about, I didn't open my windows and there's mould on the ceilings or whatever it might be, or the roof's leaking. Well, now you've got to get up and fix it yourself. So it's the way it should be if you live in something. The role of guardians. Now, guardians take on the essential upkeep tasks, ensuring properties are maintained and the vegetation's managed. Guardians are also restricted from turning a property share into a rental, but they are allowed to rent out rooms, sheds and all that sort of stuff like any normal owner can. Diversifying your investment portfolio. Diversifying an investment portfolio can reduce risk and improve overall returns by including various asset classes. Now, Guardian property share, incorporating Guardian right lending into your investments can lessen speculation and provide stability and fixed income returns. Risk management. Personal lending diversification offers new investment risk nuances, making portfolios risk effective against market fluctuations. And the reason for that is this is a needs-based system, it's a fixed system, and it doesn't have to get affected by any prices going up, down, sideways, whatever. This is a fixed system working on a downward run. I suppose it's sort of like buying options in a marketplace where you hope the price is going to go down maybe. But this is fixed, so you know it's going down and there's nothing speculative about it. So benefits for property owners. The role of guardians to maintain land and buildings, removes the running costs normally associated with holding a property. It's a cost-effective solution as split property value allow landholders to reduce debt and buy back the share at a later date for a much lesser fixed price determined by the depreciation schedule. And the work of guardians to build and restore the condition of buildings for preservation builds equity for landholders, especially when they offer up a piece of vacant land where a house can be built, or where you have a derelict or flood affected property which is basically there but just needs to be rebuilt to make it habitable again. So you can use guardian rights for people to fix up your own property, which makes it worth more, and it gives them the responsibility, the pride of having a cheaper property for a longer price, and they got to do it. So, you know, everyone's helping everybody through this system. Now, generating passive income, well, that sort of goes by the wayside because we're not having rentals anymore. However, you can put your money up for the Guardian, and the Guardian pays you back with interest, I suppose, so you can get your passive income in that way. And that's usually determined by what the value of the property is, how long you're going to have it for, to protect you and to protect the Guardian in the property. So you need to make everybody happy, and this is a good way to say, well, it's going to work well with a 3% lend, and some property you might find it'll work well with a 10% lend. So, you know, it's just something you got to look at and work out before you get into it, and that's really important because people don't usually do that, and this way will protect you as you do that. So with the Guardian asset, the lending component reduces at the same time as the value of the property, and while the market rent of the old system is likely to increase, so that gives you a bit of a safeguard. And the financial benefits are personal lending arrangement is outside of the actual debt-based system. So as we do this with each other while the rest of the world's not knowing what to do with their money, well, this is just a different way of going about it. So flexibility in property ownership. So for the people who buy the Guardian right, the property share enables landholders to redefine the attachment to control the fixtures. So you're not going to control that anymore. The owner of the guardian right is going to control what goes on the house. So if you don't like that, don't do it. But if you do like that idea, well, then they get to renovate it and do whatever they need, and that's out of your hands. The only time it's in your hands is when you put a guardian right over a vacant block of land and you want a particular type of house built, and they get to say yes or no and go through with it or not. So with the change of responsibility to shatter the old paradigms, the system defines one space for the use to become free over time and one space to speculate on, increasing prices, enhancing utility and value. So seasonal adjustments. For the guardian right owner, you don't have to sell just at the call option time. You can sell it at any time, so it's flexible. So, but you're going to be selling it for the value, for its fixed value, and that's to help the next guardian, it's to help you, and it's to help the property owner and society. So all of those things are pretty good for everybody. So what are the benefits for guardians? Well, the value of a guardian right and the term of occupancy can be checked against the current market rent to understand what the affordability of that would be. But what we're doing is purchasing our living arrangements rather than renting it. Now, affordable repayments lead to lower housing costs, enabling more families to secure housing under personal lending arrangements. Now, this works out really well for anybody with any amount of money, because the housing options increase for guardians, offering a choice of fixer-uppers or habitable spaces to move into to help find suitable living arrangements for your budget and your lifestyle. Fixer-upper challenges, however, in some cases, or in many, in a few areas I know of, councils are attempting to block the rebuilding of flood-affected homes, which creates a channel. So you're going to need a bit of diplomacy if the house is in a flood area, and the councils like Lismore in particular are still unsure of what to do with the properties. So we've got unique and flexible living arrangements, because call options mean that a guardian's already agreed to sell at a particular time at a particular price, but of course they don't have to, because they can move on and sell it to another guardian. And the best part about that is every year the value and the cost gets cheaper, and more guardians will be able to afford to buy that and move in. So another interesting part, which is not written on these slides, is if you use the personal lending services, we can pass the value of the debt to the next owner, so they just keep paying for it and moving it down, and you don't have to go through new loan arrangements or anything. The costs will be getting cheaper all the time, as long as the lender's happy, as long as you're happy, and as long as the last guardian was happy, well then it's all great. So we've got a lot of flexible living arrangements for the purchasing of a property, which will accommodate your lifestyles and needs. So the opportunities for community involvement. Now, guardians can participate in various community land share models, whether it be in the form of a town or hippies on a farm. Where these community groups usually fall down is they start off with a firecracker and it's all going well, and then you'll get a couple of lazy bums or people that are fudging the system, and they don't want to do what they're supposed to or agreed to do, and normally you can't get rid of them. But if you use a guardian right, of course you can get rid of them, and that's a really interesting concept. So they'll get to leave if they want, because they can sell easy and it's getting cheaper all the time. And if the community itself doesn't want them, thinks they're bad eggs or so, they get to kick them out when the call option comes along. So it works good for everybody. What else do we look at? We can look at a case study and success story. Righto, what case studies have we got? None. There's no case studies. It's a new model. It's not really designed specifically for those communities I've just mentioned. It's actually designed for individuals who live anywhere in Australia and New Zealand to start with. We haven't gone through the rules for other countries, but it works for Australians and Kiwis. So, because we don't have a case study, I can't really say anything about it except the Guardian Right's a tool for a greater vision to remove the cost of living over the basic needs of housing, electricity, transport, fuel, food and water. And the purpose of the greater vision is to change society and use new systems that produce freedom, equality, safety, security, stability and peace through community engagement and encouraging local participation who want to remove these costs and not be in this debt-based system anymore. So the blueprint, if there is such a thing, is that both the Guardian Right and the Karmic Credit Trading app serves as a blueprint for other communities looking to implement this model. And the Karmic Credit Trading system is a needs-based regenerative trading system where money is born and dies. So it's something else for another presentation, but it's designed to end poverty and hardship and all the rest of it. So firstly, we've got to get this housing thing under order. So the impact on communities, well, of course, we promote safety or the property will enhance safety in local communities, fostering a secure environment for residents. We can build pride and respect in people with an equitable interest in property, which empowers inhabitants, which will contribute to a much more vibrant society. And in that, we foster honesty and integrity, because once we all start feeling better about ourselves, we don't need to go and throw rocks at other people's houses because they've got something and we got nothing. So it just works out better that way. So to conclude, now I've got down the grr.net.au, I've had the housingexchange.com.au, we've got Guardian Right Registry .com.au as websites where you can go and look these things up. But we just need to conclude that the Guardian Right property creates a beneficial link for society, investors and property owners, enhancing community welfare. So it's an inclusive system that helps everybody when anyone goes in it, rather than this one's for renters and not for property owners, or this one's for investors and that's going to affect them. This is good for everybody. So innovative associations, so Guardianship's innovative strategies address current housing challenges while promoting more than just a reduction in housing costs, but a shift in consciousness on how housing can be done better. And this fosters community by or through a sense of community among participants, leading to enhanced social cohesion and support. Now the reason I'm reading a lot of these screens off is because I got this computer thing to work it all out for me, and I had to change it a little bit to make it real. So that's it for the presentation of a Guardian Right, a new housing system, and I hope you all look it up and tell people about it, because it's going to be truly beneficial to society. So this is Glenn Phelan, Guardian Right Registry. Thank you very much.